It's fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Home of the Eagles, Sixers, and Flyers. WENJ, WENJHD, Millville, Atlantic City, 97.3 ESPN. This is Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app. Now, live from the Matt Black Kia Studios.
Oh, what an attack! What a move!
Here's Josh Hennig.
Thursday edition of Game Night on 97.3 ESPN, and it is finally here. Carson Wentz has been traded. No more sleepless nights for some of you. No more horror stories. No more speculation about Nick Foles being traded to the Eagles. No, it is Carson Wentz to the Indianapolis Colts for a couple of picks. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, this hour is partially here for you at 609-403-0973 and you live watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Your reaction to the Carson Wentz trade. We'll get to all of your thoughts this hour. Plus, the Flyers are back in action for the first time in almost 2 weeks. So, Kevin Durso braved the weather and got to the center tonight to give us a live report right here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. But of course, that'll be at 6:40 tonight. So for the next 38 plus minutes, we are going to talk Carson Wentz. And this deal was a long time coming. And I'm glad it finally got here because I was getting so dizzy with all of the speculation about what is or isn't happening. But now it's finally here. So all the people who said the trade's not going to happen, or all the people who said that Wentz has to be traded to the Bears, it's the only deal that makes sense, we at least can get rid of the conjecture and we can just work off of what actually happened. And what actually happened was Carson Wentz got traded for a 2021 third-round pick and a conditional 2022 second-round pick that can become a first-round pick. Now, the reason why that's important to note is because, number one, the way it becomes a first-round pick, just for all of you know out there, as long as Wentz plays about 75% of snaps that year, team goes to the playoffs, stuff like that. Things that are attainable. And it's one of those deals where the Colts basically, it's like in the NBA. You know, there's a protection on it in case something goes sideways. You know, when a team trades a first round pick with a top 5 protection on it. So if the top 5 pick, that team gets to keep the pick, and then you get the first round pick next year kind of deal. It's a similar concept here in the NFL. So theoretically, if everything goes as we expect, it'll be a third round pick and a first round pick next year. And I know some people are looking at this as, well, they didn't get good value. Here's the problem. What if this was the only thing that was out there? What if this was the only team that was going to give you anything? This is what Adam Schefter said when the news broke earlier today on SportsCenter. Take a listen to what he says about what the Colts offered for Wentz.
The Colts looked at the quarterback landscape and surveyed all the quarterbacks out there. And while they're giving up a future conditional second-round pick that could become a first, they said, we believe that Carson Wentz is the best option that we can get on our team right now. And so the Colts offer was what it was, and they were strong. And they increased the offer in the end. But they felt like Carson Wentz was a natural fit in their offense on that team with that particular organization, and now we'll see how that works out.
Think about what Schefter just said there. First of all, he said that the Colts surveyed the entire quarterback landscape. So you know that list I've been talking about, that list that had Matt Ryan, Deshaun Watson, Sam Darnold, Jimmy Garoppolo on it. That list that had Mitch Trubisky on it, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Cam Newton. The Colts looked through everything and said, wow, Carson Wentz is our best option. And then Schefter said at the very end, they increased their offer. So theoretically, you actually did get the best value that could be offered for Carson Wentz. You actually did get the best that you could get out of it, all things considered. Because the Colts said the best we can do is Wentz, and the Eagles said the best we can do is this offer. So anybody out there telling you that this wasn't good value, the Eagles got in return a bag of balls and some duct tape and etc., they're lying. They're full of it. See, people have an idea of how things work because they don't live in reality. I like to live in reality. I like to tell you how things are. And how things are is this. The Philadelphia Eagles wanted to move on from Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz no longer wanted to be here. And the Colts, from the beginning, were the most likely destination. That's what you heard on Football at 4 with Adam Kaplan and Jeff Mosher for weeks. That's something you've heard from multiple people on the Sports Bash here on Game Night for weeks. We've been telling you the Colts were the likely destination, and it happened. And Adam Schefter says the Eagles and the Colts were negotiating for the last 19 days. I'm sorry, what?
The Colts and the Eagles were in discussions for the last 3 weeks. I think really from the day after Jared Goff got traded from Los Angeles to Detroit and Matthew Stafford went from Detroit to Los Angeles. The talks heated up at that moment and really have been going on for 19 straight days. And they were at the brink of the deal the whole time, but it was only until today that the Eagles finally signed off on the agreement.
19 days. Imagine talking to somebody for 19 straight days who's not actually a coworker or a family member or a friend, trying to make a deal work. Going back and forth, having these, it almost reminds me, remember what Elton Brand said, that he called the GM of the Minnesota Timberwolves every day till they finally traded Jimmy Butler, checking in on him? That's what this almost feels like. I just want to know who picked up the phone first. Was it Howie calling the Colts, or was it the Colts calling the Eagles each day? That's my only real question here. And you made the deal, you got it done. But 19 straight days. Now, notice at the end, Adam Schefter said a little tidbit there. He said, and finally today, the Eagles signed off on the deal. Just an hour ago, Rob Maaddi was on the Sports Bash, and he mentioned the fact that the NFL today announced that the minimum of the salary cap, the NFL announced early this morning, is going to go from 175 to 180. So the salary cap will not be dropping. It'll at least be 180. Now, the NFL will not give a hard number yet because, keep this in mind, they are renegotiating a lot of contracts this offseason. You have to wonder, did the salary cap going up make it a little easier for the Philadelphia Eagles to turn around and say, you know what, if we're going to bite the bullet, if we're going to eat this money, if we're going to swallow our pride, if we're going to make this happen, we might as well get it over with, because at least we know for sure the salary cap is going up and not down. Something to think about. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, text board is open at 609-403-0973. Also, you guys watching the stream, you can comment as you watch on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter here on 97.3 ESPN. That's right, file 973 ESPN, where you can watch the Sports Bash with Mike Gill Monday through Friday, as well as myself, Game Night with Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN. So the deal is done. What is next? Well, what's next is you already have Jalen Hurts here. What is next is that you already have an individual here who can play the quarterback position. Now, we can debate till we're blue in the face what the Eagles do with a third-round pick and a conditional pick that could be a second or first next year. I'm not going to waste your time or my time with that conversation. But what I do know for sure is that Jalen Hurts is the quarterback. And if I'm the Eagles, I'm not drafting a quarterback. Not at all. You used a second-round pick last year on a guy who has already started cultivating relationships in your locker room. You drafted a guy in the second round who got to play last year and gave you a couple glimmers of an idea of what he can be. I'm not drafting a quarterback to create another quarterback controversy or situation or fiasco. I want to see Jalen Hurts for a full offseason, for a full year, and see what he can do. You gave Carson Wentz, 12 weeks? You gave Carson Wentz all this time to see what he could do until you finally pulled the trigger and said enough is enough. It took you him leading the league in interceptions. It took you him losing about 3 games for you. You at least deserve to give Jalen Hurts the same shot. So I'm not drafting a quarterback. Not at all. But Adam Schefter also said earlier today on SportsCenter, the Eagles are not just going to give Jalen Hurts the job. Take a listen.
The Eagles now have Jalen Hurts as their quarterback, but I think that they'll be looking to bring in competition of some sort. I don't think they're automatically just going to hand the job to Jalen Hurts and say, you are the guy here moving forward. I think that the Eagles will be looking. They've got a lot of ammunition now built up with the extra picks.
Now, I don't read into that at all, that they're going to draft a quarterback per se. At least I don't. What I hear from that is the Eagles might bring in a veteran guy to have in the building, in the quarterback room with Hurts. If we learned anything from this past year, it was how ridiculous it was that the quarterback room this year was Wentz, Hurts, and Sudfeld. 3 young guys in a quarterback room with no real veteran leadership. Don't tell me Wentz was the veteran leadership, because look how that turned out. Wentz was the worst example on the team. Forcing interceptions, making bad decisions, never admitting if he ever did anything wrong except for, I got to do better. Anybody can say they got to do better. That's ridiculous. This is a situation where Carson Wentz put the team in this predicament. Don't repeat the same mistake. Go out and get a veteran guy to either back him up or have a semi-competition with him. Schefter says that the Eagles don't want to just hand the job to Jalen Hurts. Fine. There's a couple veteran quarterbacks out there you can sign. Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's a free agent. See what you can work out with him. Cam Newton, he's a free agent. See what you can work out with him. Trade for Nick Foles. Call the Bears up. See what's up. There's options out there. I know Adam Kaplan has talked about Joe Flacco. The Eagles had interest in him last year. Maybe they could bring him back this year. Go after down that road. Who knows? But you go get a veteran. I don't want to see any more young kids, any more young guys in here. Because at the end of the day, if you're going to develop Jalen Hurts, you got to give him the same opportunities you gave Wentz. When Wentz got drafted, it was Chase Daniel. And then the next year, it was Nick Foles. And then a couple years later, it was Josh McCown. Give Jalen Hurts the same opportunities to succeed or fail. Go out and get a veteran receiver like you did with Alshon Jeffrey and Torrey Smith. Give Hurts a chance to succeed or fail. Do not make the same mistakes you made with Wentz. Because one thing is for sure, they are not the same human being. They are not the same exact mentality. But they both deserve the same amount of opportunities. I want to see Hurts play the entire year, succeed or fail, before I sit here and act like it was a bad move or not to move on from Wentz. Game night here on 97.3 ESPN. Josh Hennig hanging out with you here on a Thursday. Everyone's being safe out there. It's icy. It's yucky. It's wet. I know that getting ice off my car this morning was an interesting experience, at least for me, coming into the station. Hope you're all being safe out there, whatever you're doing, whether you're at home, whether you're on the road, whatever you're doing, please be safe. It's going to get cold tonight. It's supposed to rain again tomorrow. And of course, keep tuned here at 97.3 ESPN because coming up at 7 o'clock, the Flyers are back on the ice. Speaking of ice, versus the Rangers, the first time in over a week. And Kevin Durso braved the elements to get to the center tonight. And we'll be checking in with him in about 25 minutes from now. But we'll talk some more Eagles and Wentz coming up right here on Game Night. Of course, you can text in at 609-403-0973. And you watching the show on live Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can comment right below here on 97.3 ESPN FM and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City.
It's Sixers basketball tomorrow on 97.3 ESPN with the voice of the 76ers, Tom McGinnis, calling all the exciting play-by-play action.
Simmons, he's going to lay it up and in. And B with a block at one end, and Simmons like a freight train getting the layup.
The Sixers host the Chicago Bulls tomorrow. Coverage begins at 7:30. Philadelphia 76ers basketball on your radio home of the Sixers in South Jersey, 97.3 ESPN.
This month, let me offer you some presidential advice. Leave me, your dollar in your wallet when you get 0% APR financing from Matt Blatt Kia.
Matt Blatt Kia wants to get you out of that old car you hate. Come in today or visit us online and get the credit you deserve. 0% APR financing available for up to 60 months on new 2021 Kia Sportage, K5, and Forte models. Or take $4,000 off MSRP on new 2020 Kia Niros in stock. Plus Matt Blatt Kia in Toms River and Egg Harbor Township wants your trade, even if you owe thousands more than it's worth. Don't forget, you can't make a mistake with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy.
It's gotta be a Matt Blatt Kia.
Offers for Tier 1 and 2 credit for Kia Motors Finance. Not all will qualify. 0% based on 1516 per 1,000 par. 4,000 all 2020 euros with 2,500 Kia Motors factory rebate to dealer. 1,500 Matt Blatt Kia discount. Go to mattblattkianj.com for complete details. Expires 3/4/2021.
Matt Blatt Kia, 6211 Black Horse Pike, Egg Harbor Township. And now on Route 37 in Toms River.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack. Sure, you can post your job to some job board, but then all you can do is hope the right person comes along, which is why you should try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/news. ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you. It finds them for you. Its powerful technology identifies people with the right experience and actively invites them to apply to your job. You get qualified candidates fast. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you what you're looking for. The needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job in ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. ZipRecruiter, the smartest way to hire. And now you can try ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
A message from your neighbors and friends at First Bank. We've been serving residents and businesses of Sea Isle City and the surrounding communities for more than 130 years. Today's challenges, while unique, are another opportunity to show our strength and resilience. Our commitment to you remains strong. Whether it's using our drive-through services, bank by phone, the First Bank mobile app, or online banking, we're staying strong with you. Be safe and be secure. First Bank, here for you.
Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
What's in store this week at Staples?
Everything you need for a totally productive workspace.
Staples has the technology, supplies, and furniture you need to upgrade your workspace at amazing prices.
Like right now, select chairs are 40% off.
Plus, when you buy any office chair, get 25% off all desks, file cabinets, chair mats, bookcases, and lighting purchases.
Shop in store or pick up curbside.
Upgrade your workspace and save at Staples. See staplesconnect.com for details.
Ends 2/27/21. In store only while supplies last. Curbside available at most stores.
O'Reilly. This is Sarah's O'Reilly Auto Parts story.
Driving cross country with 2 young children is ambitious, to say the least. Then our check engine light came on. We pulled into O'Reilly Auto Parts and they tested it. Turned out it was a faulty sensor. They referred us to a great mechanic just down the street and we were back on the road in no time.
O'Reilly Auto Parts. You're listening to Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Game Night being brought to you by my friends over at FanDuel Sportsbook. That's right, FanDuel Sportsbook is a great place to go if you want to get involved in the basketball season. One of the things I love about betting on basketball with FanDuel Sportsbook is I'm always finding new player props or game props that I like. And you can combine those props with other bets with the same game parlay. That's right. Same game parlays are exclusive to FanDuel Sportsbook. You heard me talk about them numerous times here on 97.3 ESPN. It's my way to go with the same game parlay. You can combine player point totals, game over-unders, first half spreads, and more, all into one neat parlay. And right now, new and existing users can get $25 back each day. That's right. Every day you can get $25 back if your parlay falls one leg short with same game parlay insurance. That's right. Every single day, just another reason why I bet with FanDuel Sportsbook. And listen, we've been giving you same game parlays every single day for weeks here on GameNight. But now you can get insurance on those same game parlays. If you're a new user, just download the FanDuel Sportsbook right now and use my promo code Hennig when you sign up. You get same game parlay insurance. That's promo code Hennig with FanDuel Sportsbook. Must be 21 or to play. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. See full terms and conditions at sportsbook.fanduel.com. So what are we hitting on tonight real quick? Well, we get to that in a moment here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, we'll get to your texts as well at 609-403-0973. My FanDuel Sportsbook picks of the night is coming up in about 15 minutes from now. But first, back to you guys at 609-403-0973. Also, you watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, you can comment on the stream to get on the conversation while you watch on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Just follow 973 ESPN. We got a texter who chimed in about the Carson Wentz stuff a little bit earlier during the break. Want to get to the texter now. Texter says, if you're a member of the Colts, after seeing how Wentz handled being benched combined with his play last season, are you happy to have him? Well, here's the problem with that thinking. If that's the way the Colts thought about it, they would never have traded for him. See, the Colts and probably their players have the same mentality. The mentality is, we are getting a certain kind of player who has a certain level of potential, okay? And I'm glad you asked that question, because now this is not my opinion. This is what other people think about the Wentz situation. Dan Orlovsky on SportsCenter earlier today on ESPN television said this.
People only talk about 2 years of Carson Wentz's career. They talk about 2017, the MVP year, and then they talk about this year, which was bad. The two things you have to ask yourself are, what about the 2018 and 2019 seasons when he was 50 touchdowns and 14 picks and a top 7 or 8 quarterback in the position? Those were still years in his career. So that's more than likely what he is as a player when surrounded with the right pieces, which, again, Indy has.
When he is surrounded by the right pieces, which, according to Dan Orlovsky, Indianapolis does have. And he's not 100% wrong. Look, Indianapolis has a strong offensive line. They have a very good running game with Jonathan Taylor. They have good passing targets like Michael Pittman and others out there in Indianapolis. They are a good football team. And with Phillip Rivers, they almost beat the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs last year. So we know what the Colts can do. So if I'm a member of the Colts, if I'm a player on the Colts, I say, I know what Carson Wentz is capable of, and I'm going to chalk it up to last year was a bad year for him. Now, how Wentz handled things is a different conversation, because how he handled things is a huge problem, Texter, and I hear what you're saying. When you don't speak to the media for weeks on end, when you go out there and you're not honest with everybody about what's going on, it doesn't matter if the reports were true or not. You got to defend your reputation. You got to stand up and say, this is what's going on. This is what I want. For Wentz to be completely silent was a bad look. He should have said something, especially considering that his teammate, Jalen Hurts, was out and about speaking to the media. Carson Wentz's own teammate, Jalen Mills, was speaking during Super Bowl week. This is how Jalen Mills, his own teammate, described Carson Wentz.
And we know that he didn't play up to that this year. He knows that, he's a fiery competitor, a guy who wants to be perfect at everything that he does. And then you got a guy like Hurts who's a leader, a guy who's won at Alabama, he won at Oklahoma, and then he came in and he had a really, really good rookie season.
Carson Wentz is a fiery competitor. Jalen Hurts is a leader. So if that's what we know Carson Wentz to be, according to his own teammates, they say that. That was Jalen Mills right there a couple of weeks ago on CBS Sports HQ talking about Carson Wentz and Jalen Hurts. If that's who Wentz is, then that's who you can expect him to be. If you are a member of the Colts right now, you can expect him to come in there and wanting to put his best foot forward. And as long as the coach is there, help him put that best foot forward, I think he's going to be fine in Indianapolis. And they should be happy to have him because if you think about it, who would you rather have? Mitch Trubisky? Ryan Fitzpatrick? Sam Darnold? Really, who are you going to get? Are you going to draft a quarterback? Re-sign Jacoby Brissett? Adam Schefter, I played the clip earlier. He said the Colts evaluated the quarterback market and they realized that Wentz was their best option. That's not me saying it. That's not random person saying it. That's NFL insider Adam Schefter. So if Adam Schefter says the Colts thought their best option was Carson Wentz, then I think the members of the Colts are going to be happy to have him. Not based on what happened last year, but as Orlovsky said, the full measure of Wentz's career. 609-403-0973 is the segment. Also, you can comment on Facebook and YouTube, Twitter as you watch the show on 97.3 ESPN. The other interesting thing that is out there with the Wentz stuff is this is a put up or shut up opportunity for Wentz, is it not? This is Wentz's opportunity to prove that everything that happened was a mistake, or it wasn't him, it was them. You know, when your ex breaks up with you, you have an opportunity to set the record straight. You go out and, do whatever you're doing, dive, throw your whole life into your job, or, go start hitting the gym and getting back in shape, or, whatever it is. It seems that you have a guy in Carson Wentz who wants to go out there and prove himself. And if he's a fiery competitor that Jalen Mills says he is, I expect Wentz to be able to go out there and play well in Indianapolis. Yes, I don't blame everything on Wentz last year. I don't. I'm not naive. I watched football. I saw the games just like you did. But a lot of those games were on him. There's a stat out there, according to the metrics, that 80% of Wentz's sacks got hit on this year were his fault because he held the ball too long. Wentz held the ball in the pocket longer than any of the quarterback this season. So if that's the case, then it's on Wentz to make the adjustments. It's on Wentz to make the change. It's on Wentz to prove to everyone what's up. And that's why I like what Louis Riddick said earlier today on ESPN about Carson Wentz's opportunity in Indianapolis.
The number one thing Carson's going to need to do is rehab himself mentally, period. And Frank is the only person really who can help him do that at this point.
That's right.
If it doesn't work out here, I'm telling you, it's one of these situations where it's sink or swim for him. It's all or nothing now for him in Indianapolis, because if it doesn't work out there, I believe his career is over. It's done.
Strong words there from former NFL player, former NFL executive, NFL analyst Louis Riddick on ESPN television earlier today. It's sink or swim for Wentz. He has to get it figured out mentally, or his career will be over. Let's get back to your thoughts at 609-403-0973. Remember, you can also comment as you watch the show on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter at 973 ESPN. Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Rich in the Villas chimes in and says, how do you go from sitting on your high horse, living in reality, to trading for Nick Foles to be the backup quarterback? Seems highly unrealistic. Explain away, Josh. Rich in the Villas. Well, Rich, first of all, I don't think that's a high horse perspective to want to live in reality. I think that's just I'm a realist. I'm a pragmatic individual, Rich in the Villas. So If that means I'm living on my high horse, I'm obviously living on a high horse with not a lot of money. So that horse can't be that high. But either way, you can trade for Foles to be like a quarterback. I don't understand why that would be unrealistic. Let's pull up Nick Foles' contract and let's find out that contract that got renegotiated for him to be traded to Jacksonville in the first place. Let's see here. What's Nick Foles' contract? Nick Foles on a contract for 2 more years, $4 million each year. I'm not seeing the problem here. $4 million base salary. He's got a roster bonus of $4 million in 2022. So theoretically, if you traded for him, you would only have to pay him $8 million in 2021, and you can get out of the contract and save $8 million against the cap for 2022. That sounds pretty realistic to me. I said it earlier, the cap's going up. The NFL confirmed it again this morning. So if you're going to have an extra $5 million available under the cap and you're looking for a quarterback and you're going to trade Zach Ertz anyway, and Zach Ertz's contract will save you about $8 to $9 million under the cap. So what I don't understand what's unrealistic about trading for Wentz. I'm sorry, for Nick Foles, be the backup quarterback. First of all, do you really think the Bears want Nick Foles to stay there? I don't think anybody in Chicago's front office or the organization or the coaching staff or the fan base is pining away for Nick Foles to still be the quarterback. I mean, come on. Someone wants to come along and take that guy off your hands, I think they'll be happy to do it. So I am living in reality. But Rich in the Villas, I appreciate you texting in. I appreciate you calling me out or asking a question that you wanted some clarity to. I think that if the Eagles go out and get a veteran quarterback, that would be ideal for a young quarterback. And maybe it's not Nick Foles. Maybe it's Cam Newton. Maybe it's Ryan Fitzpatrick. Maybe it's Marcus Mariota. I don't know exactly who it is, but there are guys you can go out there and get. I'm just saying Nick Foles is an option. It's not being unrealistic. It's not, as you call it, high horse living in reality. That's just saying this is an option. And if the Eagles plan on cutting as much salary as they do this offseason, because they renegotiated Alshon Jeffrey and Malik Jackson's contracts in an effort to have the cap flexibility you need to make moves this offseason, whether it's by keeping those guys or cutting them without having many financial implications or ramifications from those moves, then you have to go out and get a backup quarterback at some point. And it's not going to be Nate Sudfeld. I think it's pretty clear that when Doug Peterson left, Nate Sudfeld was going to leave. So Nick Foles, you could trade for him. And frankly, if you sign Cam Newton or Marcus Mariota or Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's probably going to cost the same amount of money as trading for Nick Foles will in terms of money. Again, Nick Foles' contract states that he has a $4 million base salary. That $4 million is guaranteed money. There is a prorated bonus of about $2.7 million on this contract. So the overall cap number is under $7 million if you were to go out and acquire him. Now, I don't think that's crazy. Now, maybe you don't want to keep him beyond this year. You can get out of that contract after the 2021 season. But come on. I don't think that's a crazy deal. I think that's pretty reasonable. You're going to pay a quarterback a lot of money anyway, right? Quarterbacks make big money. So you're paying about $7 million for a veteran backup. Just for the humor of it, let's see how much Ryan Fitzpatrick made last year as a quarterback. Because why not? Ryan Fitzpatrick made a total of $8 million last year. So If you were to acquire Nick Foles, that means he's making the same amount of money as Ryan Fitzpatrick did last year. All right, there you go. 609-403-0973. We got Keith chiming in on the text. I'll pop up Keith's text here from the text board. For all you watching on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Keith chimes in and says, hey, Josh, definitely not Nick Foles. We don't want to repeat with a young quarterback. It's from Keith. Listen, Keith, and I understand where you're coming from. There is a part of me that says the Nick Foles era is over. We need to not stop going back to that well. Stop running back to the X in that sense. It's almost like you're running back to an old relationship. It's like you're in a new relationship, but you're keeping the old relationship around. So I get what you're saying. But that's why I said, I'm not saying I want Nick Foles, Keith. I'm saying Nick Foles is an option to back up Jalen Hurts moving forward. Personally, I would go out and get Cam Newton. If Cam Newton's willing to be a guy who's going to come in here and be a good locker room teammate guy, I would go get him. So let's think about it. All right. Ryan Fitzpatrick or anybody. You can go out and get people there. And by the way, there are ways to make it work. These numbers are all fudgeable anyway. All right. One of the things I find funny is that people overlook the fact that teams fudge numbers. Like, we're worried about the Eagles being over the cap, which they're actually not as bad over the cap as a team such as, for example, just to put it out there, the New Orleans Saints. The New Orleans Saints are way over the cap. You think the Eagles are over the cap? No way. The Eagles look like nothing compared to them. Now, what is the deal with the Eagles cap next year? Well, if the salary cap is going to be $180 million, all right, that's going to be the minimum of the cap right now. So technically, mathematically, you're about $47 million in the negative. But there are ways to get out of that negative. For example, as I mentioned earlier, Alshon Jeffrey, he's a guy you can cut. Deshaun Jackson, he's a guy that you can cut. Malik Jackson, he's a guy that you can cut. So right there, you're talking about $15 million. Also, we're assuming Marquise Goodwin is coming back next year. You get rid of him, you want to bring him back, that's another almost $5 million right there. There's money to be cut off of this budget. There's money to be ripped out from these contracts. Don't think that the Eagles haven't thought about not bringing back Derek Barnett. That's $10 million right there. I'm already up to $30 million. Should I keep going? So Patrick, watching on YouTube, I appreciate you saying the Eagles are $50 million over the cap, but you're looking at the cap as it's stated right now. It's a minimum of $180 million. The NFL might make it more if they get a new TV contract in place. That's what the reporting is out there. So I already found a way to get rid of $30 million of the $47 million. I'm sure that somebody whose job it is and their only job is to figure out how to cut that money, they can get rid of more than that. Jamie, watching on Facebook, says Cam can't throw. Well, then let's not go with Cam. Go with somebody else. Not Cam Newton, Ryan Fitzpatrick, Marcus Mariota. I'm certainly not signing Trubisky, that's for sure. All right. Appreciate all the comments and thoughts here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Really quick, Jake watching on YouTube says Tyrod Taylor. I wouldn't mind Tyrod Taylor. By the way, Tyrod Taylor would make a lot of sense for the Sirianni offense too. So maybe that's the way you go. I like that. You know what, Jake? Not Jake from State Farm. Jake from YouTube chiming in. I like that idea. Tyrod Taylor, good veteran quarterback. All right, coming up next, we're going to head up to the center. Kevin Durso, our Flyers insider, will be joining us live from the Wells Fargo Center. Coming up next here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN and 97.3 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. And we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter, where you can watch the show. Just follow 97.3 ESPN.
It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey tonight on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app with Tim Saunders and Steve Coates calling all the play-by-play action.
He scores!
The Flyers host the New York Rangers tonight. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. It's Philadelphia Flyers hockey on the radio home of the Flyers in South Jersey. 97.3 ESPN. Live on the free mobile app.
What do you want to da-da-da? What do you want to da-da-da? I have no idea what to da-da-da. We could switch to Progressive da. Oh yeah? We could switch to Progressive and sa. Okay. We could sa and have to buy some za. Oh yeah, let's switch to Progressive da and get some za with the money we saw. Yeah! Now we know we're gonna da-da-da.
These days, nothing is normal and everything is weird. But you could still save big when you switch to Progressive. It might just be the most normal thing you da-da-da.
Quote da at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
Any credit card can offer cash back, but only Discover matches all the cash back you've earned at the end of your first year. It's like getting one of those birthday cards that's shaped like cash, so you already know there's cash inside before opening it. But in this case, it's stuffed with your first year cash back match, and you don't even have to send a thank you note. Cashback match. Only by Discover Card. Learn more at discover.com/match. Discover. Something brighter.
Hey, sports fans, JR from WagerPro.com. And guys, tonight's the night. It's our TNT two-team parlay, and it's absolutely free on a recorded message. Toronto, Milwaukee, point spread winner, free. Brooklyn, LA, point spread winner, free. Call this number, 800-499-3733. That's 800-499-3733. That's 800-499-FREE. Get two huge blowout winners, both on TNT tonight. Guys, we're going to hit both matchups and make you a fortune on this parlay. Call. The information is razor sharp, and both games are on a recorded message, 30 seconds long. Call right now, 800-499-3733. That's 800-499-3733. Toronto, Milwaukee, Brooklyn, LA, both games on tape. 800-499-3733 and visit wagerpro.com.
Finding great candidates to hire can be like, well, trying to find a needle in a haystack, but not with ZipRecruiter. Its powerful technology actively finds and invites qualified candidates to apply to your job. So while other companies might deliver a lot of hay, ZipRecruiter finds you the needle in the haystack.
See why 4 out of 5 employers who post a job on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Hi there, Jackson Hewitt Tax Service here. Want to save some money filing your taxes? File your taxes with Jackson Hewitt now and pay $50 less than you paid someone else last year. That's right, pay $50 less than last year. Have your taxes done by a skilled Jackson Hewitt tax pro and get the biggest refund possible, guaranteed. It's win-win-win. Get more, pay less, but act now. The offer won't last. Get your coupon code and offer details at jacksonhewitt.com. That's Jackson Hewitt.
Now, more Game Night with Josh Hennig on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Josh Hennig here on 97.3 ESPN, live in the Map Like Kia studios on 97.3 ESPN. Before we get to my FanDuel Sportsbook pick of the night, we'll head up to the center right now. Joining us on the Boardwalk on the hotline, you can see him live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. He is the one and only Kevin Durso, joining us live at the center here on 97.3 ESPN. Kevin, first of all, glad to see you made it up there in one piece.
Yeah, for sure. And it's good to be back here, too, just because, you know, really long 10 days for the Flyers, and they're back now. So good to have them back.
Also, anybody watching can see you get the level up there. You're up above the ice a little bit there. So at least you're not near the ice. You'll get hit by a puck again.
I'm still watching my back during warm-ups because you never know. They tend to fly. I will say I noticed something different tonight. They have the netting up tonight behind the nets that they didn't have all season long to this point. So something different here, maybe to be just a little bit more observant or something like that. I don't know. It's something new, though, and it's interesting that it's there now after it wasn't before.
There you go. A little tidbit there from Kevin Durso while you hear the game set on 97.3 ESPN. Kevin, obviously tonight, as you mentioned in your preview over at 97.3 ESPN.com, this is not a 100% Flyers team. There's a good group of guys who are missing. So just touch on the guys who people will not be able to see on the ice tonight.
Sure, it's the same group that's been on the COVID list for the last several days at this point. So it's a rarity to have this happen. I believe that the last time this happened was 2009. No Claude Giroux and Jake Voracek together in the lineup. At least one of them has played in every Flyers game since March of 2009. So that's a rarity in and of itself. And then you add in Scott Lawton, Oscar Lindblom, Travis Konechny, and Justin Braun. That's 6 regular players who are not going to be in the lineup tonight. So the Flyers are trying to fill the void as best they can, and they've got some guys out there who are looking to take advantage of an opportunity.
Yeah, one of them being, I see the final line is, these are 3 names I never thought I would see on a Flyers sheet. Androv, Dushko, and Moran. Am I saying those names right?
Yeah, you got them all right. Andy Andrioff is centering the 4th line tonight. Maxim Sushko is going to make his NHL debut tonight on the right side there on the 4th line. And Sam Moran on the left side playing his 2nd game at left wing. So kind of a makeshift line, but it's what they have to do. Andrioff is a veteran who's been around the league for a while. Sushko's obviously in his 1st game. And Moran's been around the block a little bit. Like, he's been up at this level before, obviously, so he knows what to expect in an NHL game. But this is a new experience for him, too, because he's playing wing now. So we'll see how it goes for him. But could be a decent line, all things considered, honestly. Moran wasn't terrible in his first experience at left wing. Didn't get a lot of time, obviously. Sushko is kind of one of those gritty players who goes out there and really works hard and is an energy level type of guy. And Andrioff can give you some balance down the middle when needed. I wouldn't expect that line to play a whole lot, but we'll have to wait and see how Alain Vigneault decides to roll those 4 lines.
So with that being said, what is a fair expectation from the Flyers tonight, who haven't skated in over a week? They basically practiced, basically a day and a half before this game tonight, and they're going against a Rangers team that's coming off of a bit of a scathing loss.
Yeah, I mean, look, I do think that the Flyers, you can expect them to be somewhat competitive here. Those top 2 lines are still legitimate lines. Sean Couturier is in the lineup. Kevin Hayes is in the lineup. Nolan Patrick's in the lineup. They got James Van Riemsdyk and Joel Farabee on that top line. Nick Aube-Kubel's on the 2nd line. Michael Raffles played some top minutes before, so he's out there as well on one of the top 2 lines. So I get that, and I get how the makeshift nature of these lines is a little complicated here, but defensively, it's a normal group, and goaltending is normal as well. So they've got those guys in place, and everybody had a good day and a half to skate and get back into the rhythm of things. Look, there's no excuses here either. The New Jersey Devils just came back from a very similar situation, actually longer than the Flyers, and they beat this team 2 nights ago. So if the Devils can come out and do that to the New York Rangers, then the Flyers can as well. They just need to be determined, play a smart and simple game, and keep it simple as best they can to try to make some things happen, because the Rangers are struggling right now. And even this team of guys who is mainly just looking for an opportunity, they can find a way to take advantage.
Kevin Durso joining us here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN live from the Wells Fargo Center. Flyers versus Rangers tonight at the top of the hour right here on 97.3 ESPN. Tim Saunders, Steve Coates on the call, as you can hear right here on 97.3 ESPN FM and the 97.3 ESPN mobile app streaming live for you on your phone. Kevin, another thing I'm watching for tonight is Carter Hart is back in goal tonight. Obviously, it's not been the best of years, but he's been solid overall. What are you watching for from him coming off of this break here?
I want to see him look sharp right from the beginning here, and I want to see him get back into that rhythm that shows what kind of goaltender he can be. There's no guarantees that he's not going to see the same type of action he's already seen this season. Like we said, it's a makeshift lineup, and it's kind of an interesting dynamic here where you're playing with behind guys who don't have a lot of experience. So it could lead to a lot of opportunities, and that's nothing new for the Flyers. They've given up a lot of shots already this season, and there's probably going to be a lot more coming his way tonight. But if he can get dialed in really early and feel like he's back in that rhythm quickly, he can be the key to winning a game like this when, if nothing else, your goaltender is the one who's at the top of his game and playing as well as he can. That's the opportunity you have where your goaltender keys the victory for you. And this way you can be an opportunistic team when it comes to the offensive side. Because I don't know that you should expect a lot of offense from this team when they haven't played a lot in the last 10 days. And, barely at all, actually. You go that 1 day and a half of practice that they've had as a team. But maybe the goaltender gets into the rhythm quickly and therefore steals you a game here. I think it would be a big deal, especially when you consider that Alain Vigneault told us already this morning that not only for tonight, but for Sunday in Lake Tahoe as well, those 6 players that are missing that are regulars to the lineup, they're not going with the team to Lake Tahoe either. So this is at least a 2-game absence for all of them. And I don't know that I like the chances and that you should set any expectations for that Sunday game because that's a superior team. The Rangers are a team that maybe with this makeshift lineup, if you get a good goaltending performance and a good defensive performance, you might be able to find a way to get 2 points tonight. And that would be huge considering what's ahead of you, at least in your next game.
Kevin Durso's got a full preview for the game over at 97.3 ESPN.com at Kevin_Durso on Twitter for your Flyers and NHL coverage. Kevin, one of the notes you have on here, Rangers are 28th in the NHL in power plays. That screams to me that the Rangers might be a bit of an overrated team because you get a power play, you got to score the opportunity. The Flyers are at least 15th. They're in the middle of the pack, but for the Rangers to be that poor, that makes me wonder how much firepower is this team able to give you on a regular basis.
Yeah, for sure. And the last 2 games they've played, they've been without Artemi Panarin, which is one of the keys to their power play success when they do have it. Here's the guy who loads up and takes that shot from the left side, and that's what they are looking for most of the time out there. As I was prepping for this game, I found it to be a very surprising thing that a guy like Mika Zibanejad has played 14 games this season and has just 3 points this season. This team is struggling to score goals. Head coach David Quinn just said before the game, they're not going to the net enough, and that seems to be what they think the key to getting some offense is going to be in this game. Getting traffic to the net, getting right in front of Carter Hart tonight and trying to make some things happen. So I think the Flyers need to protect the net because it's been a struggle for this team to score, especially if you're keeping them to the outside on the power play and you're not giving them a lot of opportunities. You give them that inside opportunity, you give guys like Panarin the opportunity to shoot with an open lane from their spot, it's going to lead to trouble. So the Flyers need to take care of that. They haven't been the best penalty-killing team this year, obviously. So that's another area of concern. You got to make sure that if you're dealing with a struggling power play, your penalty kill needs to be on top of its game, or you can just play a very disciplined game and try to stay out of the box because that's a good way to do it too.
Kevin, before I let you go, you had some interesting tweets today about Carson Wentz. You seem to have an opinion, so go ahead. Give the folks your thoughts about Wentz being traded here.
I just thought that this was, the Eagles did him dirty, in my opinion. They give him a contract that says you're the guy. This would be like if the Flyers signed Carter Hart to a 6-year deal and then the next year said, hold on, we're drafting your replacement, and he's ready the year after or something like that. It's a little different in the NHL. Development's a longer process. But if you're going to bring in the guy's replacement, or better yet, if you sign a guy to a long contract and then go out and get another guy who's going to create the noise in the background, and he's a guy who won a Stanley Cup in the past or won a Super Bowl in the past, then that's on your shoulder the entire time. And I just think that after you give a guy that much money and you establish him as what you think is going to be your franchise quarterback, you turn around and you say, here's the new guy coming in, and now he's looking over his shoulder the whole time. I can understand why Carson Wentz wanted out of this situation and why it got ugly in a hurry. That's my basis of it. Doesn't mean that the Eagles didn't get what they could for him in return and try to take care of it as best they could. And I also wonder, it says a lot when your head coach gets fired in the place of like the idea of maybe he was trying to stand up for the guy who he wanted to have as quarterback, and then the Eagles traded him anyway. Like if Doug Peterson wanted Carson Wentz to be his quarterback, they said, okay, you're out. And now they traded him anyway. So what does that say? You traded a Super Bowl winning head coach, or you fired a Super Bowl winning head coach to ultimately trade the quarterback he probably wanted to work with more anyway. So it was just a mess of a situation, and I thought Carson Wentz was on the really bad end of it. And I wish him all the best in Indianapolis because I certainly hope he gets his career back on track.
I thought you were just going to be mad because of the fact that the Eagles decided to break this huge news on the Flyers' first day back from their break. I wasn't expecting those tweets I saw earlier today. I'm like, wow, Kevin Durso's got some real hard Wentz takes here. I was expecting you to tweet something like, how dare the Eagles overshadow the Flyers night?
Well, and not only that, but Broads was texting me earlier and goes, it's really hard to drop a new NHL podcast episode when the Eagles trade their quarterback away. But it's out there nonetheless. Open Ice Hits, episode 2. Go give it a listen on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, videos on Broads' channel, on YouTube, Sports Talk with Broads. We had a great time. We kind of recorded this one a little bit differently than the first one. No guest this time, but we were just talking about some good things around the league. We talked about the Pittsburgh situation, hiring Ron Hextall and Brian Burke. Talked about the Central Division. Just touched on a couple of other things in addition to me keeping an eye on this tonight. I'm definitely, as much as I love doing the podcast with Broads and I'm having a blast doing that, this is like my natural domain here. So it's good to be back.
Open Ice Hits. I'm a subscriber. You should subscribe too, folks. Open Ice Hits, Spotify, Google Play, Apple Podcasts, Sports Talk with Bros. Kevin Durso is the co-host. Our Flyers insider for 97.3 ESPN.com. Live from the center. Follow him on Twitter at Kevin_Durso for your Flyers updates throughout the evening. Kevin, great stuff. Glad to see you made it up there safely, and enjoy the evening.
Thanks, Josh. Appreciate it.
Josh Hennig here on Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, Flyers versus Rangers coming up at the top of the hour. Steve Coates, along with Tim Saunders, on the call right here on 97.3 ESPN. As promised, before we get out of here, FanDuel Sportsbook pick. And then don't forget the same game parlay insurance. If you're a new user, just use promo code Hennig when you sign up to get same game parlay insurance, same game parlays, combined point spreads, player props, money lines, whatever you want. Same game parlay it, 3 legs or more. Get the same game parlay insurance. That's promo code Hennig when you sign up for same game parlay insurance and more great deals from FanDuel Sportsbook. My FanDuel Sportsbook pick of the night tonight. We lost last night. We're going to try to get back on the winning track. We won a few days in a row, but tonight we're going to try to get back on the winning track. So here we go. Nets versus Lakers tonight. I know the line was bet down to 230. I'm going to take the over because no Anthony Davis means there's a lack of defense out there. We know that Kevin Durant's not supposed to play tonight, so you're not going to have him out there on the defensive end. He's really the only legitimate defender on that team when it comes to anybody on the wing. James Harden tries, but he's just not an elite defender. So give me Nets Lakers over 230. Also, Kyrie Irving over 27.5. Supposed to be his first game back from the injury. He's expected to be back in action tonight. So there you go. There's your picks for FanDuel Sportsbook. Thanks to Kevin Durso for joining the show with a live update from the center. I'm Josh Hennig. This is Game Night on 97.3 ESPN. You can follow me on Twitter at Josh Hennig. Please stay safe out there on the roads. It is nasty. Hope you all have a great night. Flyers hockey next on 97.3 ESPN, 97.3 ESPN app.
Health Update with Robin Stoloff. Learn more, live better.
Do you dread Mondays? Do you spend your Sunday nights worrying about Monday morning? Well,